GETTYRichard Branson has revealed he was targeted by a conman impersonating Michael FallonThe Virgin. Boss disclosed the plot as a warning to others, after a friend of his fell victim to a similar trick and lost £2 million. Mr. Branson said the scam sounds like it has come straight out of a John le Carre book or a James Bond film, but it is sadly all true. Writing on his blog, the billionaire said, 6 months ago my assistant received a written note on what appeared to be official government notepaper from Secretary of State for Defense Sir Michael Fallon, requesting an urgent call with me. I called Sir Michael on the number given. He told me it was an incredibly sensitive matter and that he wanted to be sure there was nobody else in the room whilst I talked to him. The man on the other end of the line explained how a British diplomat had been kidnapped by terrorists, and that in most circumstances the government would refuse to pay out any ransom. Sir Michael then claimed there was a particular, very sensitive reason for why the diplomat needed to be returned, and the government was asking a select group of business people to pay for the prisoner's release. The con artist even responded calmly when Mr. Branson said he was cautious, having heard about a number of recent scams. Mr. Branson wrote he said he fully understood and that I should send one of my senior team over to his department at Whitehall to have a quiet word with his secretary. He said that she was the only other person who knew about it and that if we said the code word Davenport, she would affirm it was for real. Although the Sir Michael the first spoke to sounded exactly like Sir Michael, I was understandably cautious. After I had asked one of my lawyers to go to Whitehall, I rang Downing Street and asked to be put through to Sir Michael's office. His secretary assured me that Sir Michael hadn't spoken to me and that nobody had been kidnapped. It was clearly a scam. I told them what had happened and we passed the matter over to the police. GETTYA con artist later impersonated Branson himself to cheat a friend out of £2 million. The entrepreneur was to become the subject of another scam just months later, this time when a hoaxer called up a wealthy friend of his posing as Mr. Branson himself. This time his friend fell for the scam, and handed over £2 million in the belief it was a 3-week loan to help rebuild the British Virgin Islands after Hurricane Irma. Mr. Branson wrote, when the call happened the con man did an extremely accurate impression of me and spun a big lie about urgently needing a loan while I was trying to mobilize aid in the BVI. They claimed I couldn't get hold of my bank in the UK because I didn't have any communications going to Europe and I only just managed to make a satellite call to the businessman in America. The business person, incredibly graciously, gave $2 million, which promptly disappeared. I spoke to the business person and had to tell him specific details of our last get-together before he was convinced it was really me and not the conman. We quickly realized he had been duped out of his money by a criminal pretending to be me. He is an incredibly generous person who gives to all sorts of causes, and it is just too sad for words that of all people it was he who had fallen for it. The Virgin boss described the scam as a heist on an enormous scale and said he believed the con artist was the same person on both occasions. He urged anyone who might have information to help the businessman recover his stolen £2 million to write anonymously to the Virgin Group's heist team, based at the Battleship Building, 179 Harrow Road, London W2, 6NB.